Hi everybody, it's Dr. Weber, and today we're going to go over a lesson plan assignment for HFE 415. This is for an adaptive physical activity class that you will be teaching. You're either going to teach a warm-up or you're going to teach either the sport or fitness activity. So either a 30-minute warm-up or the 30-minute fitness and sport activity. You're going to use this template below that I'm going to eventually scroll down to. Let's just read over the directions. So again, creating a 30-minute activity plan for individuals with disabilities. Once you complete, you'll submit for your teacher approval. Once approved, you'll teach your portion in class on your assigned date, and we've already selected those dates, so you should know your time and date. And then once you perform your lesson, you'll submit it. I'll give you some review. If it doesn't need to be changed, I'll let you know. If it does need to be changed, you'll just have to resubmit before you teach. Okay, you'll be graded on this assignment on how well you teach as well as how well you plan. So both are going to be counted, but the bottom portion of this assignment will show you the rubric. All students are required to plan a 30-minute lesson and teach either the warm-up or fitness or sports section. You'll be evaluated using the rubric below, and if there's any changes, I'll let you know. Okay, if you need to resubmit your lesson plan, please do so as soon as you can. Okay, so for the recipe, the first thing you're going to start off with is the students on the mats performing any type of mobility, stretching, breathing, flexibility activities you want to perform. And then you're going to go into more stability, strength, balance, or coordination, motor control, correctives, things like push-ups, sit-ups, side planks, half kneeling positions, and maybe moving in more controlled manners. Okay, dynamic movement. So the third step would be performing any type of dance, agility, kickboxing, any type of game like sharks and minnows, parachute games, any type of inclusive, fun activity that gets everyone moving using music. So try to use the radio for this section. So that'll be required. For the second portion of the lesson plan, so the first portion is this 30-minute warm-up, and really it's a 20-minute warm-up that gradually warms the student up. So we go from more static flexibility to dynamic to more strength, okay, and power and speed. So after we have warmed the body up, we'll go into our lesson focus, which is either the sport or fitness activity. They can be stations or it can all be done together as a group. Okay, so I'll show you different examples during the semester, and I have different types of teaching those things. What we do know is the skill theme works best when teaching group scenarios, so use the skill theme teaching plan guides if you're using any skills during your sports. And then also stations work great as well, setting up 4 stations in the gym, 4 quadrants, 4 different activities or skills. Say if you're teaching soccer, one could be you're having them be the goalie at one station. Okay, so they actually have to defend a goal. Another station could be throw-ins at the wall, or it could be trapping and passing. It could be juggling or some type of zigzag cone drill. So whatever it could be that relates to the sport that is inclusive, okay, that everyone can do. Okay, we don't need to do anything like spinning the ball on your finger. I mean, you could do that. I mean, I'm not going to say you can't do that, but something that everyone can do that's very successful. And if you want to add in some challenges, you can do that as well. Group fitness works best. Stations are okay, but you have to really know exactly how you want to set the equipment up. You have to have good explanations, directions. You have to have visuals, pictures. So whenever you do any type of station work, you have to have visuals on the wall explaining what to do at each station, because you're not going to be at all 4 stations at each time. So you have to make sure that you're accounting for directions at each station. When you're teaching a group fitness class, you don't need those directions in hand, although having an instructional guide is good. Sometimes it gets in the way if you're trying to write things down. But if you can manage that and you want to get some assessment data, or if you're trying to just keep students on task, which is always a good thing by giving them instructional guides, You'll definitely get some extra credit if you perform um, a lesson plan with an instructional guide. So if they're checking off the box or if there's some type of assessment involved, like we did in our first class, that will definitely get extra credit. Okay, I am not making it mandatory that you create an instructional guide, although it is very highly recommended because it definitely helps keep everyone on pace. For the lesson plan guide, this is going to be what will help you pick out the exercises or skills that you'll be teaching. So for example, if we look at this first section, mobility, stretch, flexibility, CARs or controlled articular rotations and breathing, you'll see that breathing is at the top because I like to start with breathing. I probably should have just put breathing at the beginning here, but I didn't. So this basically takes you in order of progression of exercise. So you could say, all right, we're going to do a little bit of 360 core breathing. What is that? 360 core breathing is inhaling through your nose, filling up the core 360 degrees like a balloon, and then taking a long exhale out. Okay, and then focusing on that expansion 360 degrees, and maybe you're showing the students what that looks like. And then maybe your next breathing exercise is foggy mirror. Okay, you're going to inhale through your nose, and then you're going to exhale super slow like you're fogging up a mirror. Okay, and that might take 2 minutes. Okay, and so now you're already 2 minutes into that 10 minutes. So now you have 8 more minutes. And now you're going to go to mobility or stretch. So I might do, maybe it's a cross leg reach. Maybe that's just so if you're just sitting up with your legs crossed and then you're just reaching forward, that's all that means. So it's a lower back stretch. Butterfly, that's an adductor stretch. Number 4 stretch, that's like a half butterfly, half one leg in, one leg out stretch. Your straddles when both legs are out. The bear stretch, it's more with that knees are both 90 degrees, and it's half straddle, half butterfly pose. Supine figure 4, when the leg is crossed over the knee. You can Google all these stretches out, or you can just repeat the stretches that we've performed in class. Okay, so these are all just suggestions. Okay, I'm not going to go over them all. So you have strength, you have your CARs as well, or yoga, your yoga postures. So this builds into some of these are stability, some of these are mobility. So you could use it for either or. I don't mind if you get anything mixed up in between these two, as long as you progress. Okay, so this is pretty much interconnecting everything. So mobility, stability, any type of yoga posture. Now stability and motor control. This is going to be definitely more the strength, the coordination. That's where you're looking at FMS activities like hip lifts on your back or bear crawls, single leg reaches, wall slides or floor slides on your back, push-ups, push-up holds. Any type of diaphragmatic breathing would also be included if you're focusing on any type of compensating patterns. So anything you want to look up, you can always just Google this information, or you can just take the exercises we've been doing in class. So after we've performed our mobility and stability exercises, we're going to move into our dynamic movements or dance. Okay, it can be locomotor skills, speed, game, kickboxing, agility. So these would be all included. So you could pick a song from the dance. We've done freeze dance before, when students freeze the music and then they select a new dancer to become the next lead dancer. You could teach the dance. You could do a whole 10-minute dance routine. So you could teach them a dance and then add in a song and lead them through that song and show them the steps step by step. Or you can pick out YMCA, Cha-Cha Slide, any song, Macarena, Chicken Dance, anything that you want to teach them or lead through. You could choose dynamic stretching. So like leg cradles, knee to chest, pogo bounces, lateral pogos. Maybe it's some hip hinges or butt kickers or straight leg walks or jump rope, any type of dynamic movement. Backward runs, skipping, hopping, jumping, any locomotor skill. Ladder drills, these probably are going to be a little bit too tough to bring out, but if you wanted to have stations for your warm-up, you could have ladder drills, dynamic station like jumping. You could have a motor control or strength station, and then you could have like a mobility station. And then one of those stations could be ladders. Okay, and so you could teach them a couple of these movements if you're familiar with like in, out, out, 1-2 sticks. All this stuff can be YouTubed. Medicine ball throws, I probably would shy away from these unless you have a good plan. The medicine balls we have are not the greatest, but if you do want to use med balls as a station during either your strength or during your warm-up, use the med balls from the room upstairs in the aerobics room. We also have some med balls downstairs, but they're not the best at throwing at the wall. So if you just had them throw them out into the middle of the court, that might be more appropriate, but we would obviously have to plan all that and figure all that out. Plyometrics, so any type of plyometrics can be performed during the dynamic movement. So that would be speed, okay, dynamic movement can also be in this category here. So we have ladder drills, medicine balls, plyometrics, so any type of jumping activity, hopping. You want to plan these with 3 to 5 reps. I should probably put that there because of the force. Okay, you don't want to go over 5 reps for plyometrics because it can put a lot of load on the tendons. When it comes to dynamic movements, you could also perform speed or kickboxing. So these are drills probably a little bit more advanced. Probably can just skip over those. But if you wanted to add in a speed drill, you could. Kickboxing, we've done that. And then I have some more dance songs here. You could also perform a fun and adventurous thematic game with a narrative or a cooperative game. So like obstacle course. Or you could have a game like Loggers, which I could tell you about in class, Sharks and Minnows, if you've heard of that. Builders and Bulldozers, that's one you can YouTube. Pirate Ship, when everyone pretends that they're on a pirate ship, everyone pretends that they're astronauts, and then they perform different movements. So think about those camp games that you would play at camp that involve everyone, that get everyone thinking and imagination, like you're at the beach and okay, let's go ahead and pretend we're going to go swimming. And so something fun and adventurous you could do for that 10 minutes. Okay, so you're just picking one thing. Okay, try not to pick everything. Okay, so pick either kickboxing, pick a game, pick a dance, or dynamic movements, or locomotor skills, or focus on just one of these boxes, okay? You don't want to be focusing on them all. For the next half of the lesson, we have our sport and fitness section. So our sports skills here, if you're going to be teaching any of these sports, you would just click on these links for more information about the sport to get some access to lesson plans and skills that you can teach. And then you can also read below where I kind of go through the progressions of those skills. So if I was going to teach softball, I would start with catching and throwing, which would be a yarn underhand roll, wiffle hand underhand, a yarn sidearm throw, a yarn overhand throw, wiffle sidearm, wiffle overhand. So putting in the progressions, ground ball and throw, catching on the run, pop fly catch, hitting a balloon with a noodle, hitting a yarn ball with a bat and tee, hitting a wiffle ball with a bat and tee, and then playing a game called Builders and Fielders. So you'd have to ask me what that game is. Soccer, this is the skills. I would probably play World Cup, which is a different skills that you just teach them. You probably don't have to relate it to different countries. You can probably just teach them one skill at a time. Tennis or pickleball, these are different types of skills you can teach there. Basketball, different skills you can teach in basketball. And again, just click on these links. If these links don't help and you just need some help with lesson planning and you just want me to help you guide you through the lesson plan, I'll definitely help you. We have volleyball, floor hockey, bocce, swimming. So obviously not swimming for our class because we're in the gym. Here's some skill theme approach that I have above, and that will give you different types of ways if you're teaching, let's just say, dribbling or volleying or throwing and catching or chasing and fleeing. You could use this for your game for your warm-up. You could use this for your warm-up. You could use space awareness for your warm-up. So all these skill themes actually can be implemented in both the warm-up and in the sport. So if you're doing kicking, any type of soccer, you'd want to kick this. jumping and landing. If you want to add this into your dynamic warm-up, you could. Balancing, you could add that to your warm-up, jumping and landing, warm-up, stretching, curling, twisting, and bending. So these would be all just different ways to include and different examples of lesson plans that you can take from. So this would be bending, twisting, curling, and stretching. These would be different ways that, this is an example of a lesson plan too. And so this would be different ways that you could teach these activities. If you want to pull any information from these guides, you can. This is all for your disposal. Okay, and these videos will show you what it actually looks like. All right, in real form. And so those are from previous classes. Okay, after you've performed either your sport or fitness in stations or group, whatever that looks like, you'll definitely see me teach all these things, so you'll have a good idea of what it'll look like in both forms. You'll have a 2 to 5 minute cool down or closure, and do that around the Seahawk. We do 1, 2, 3 Seahawk. You can have students sit if you want. It doesn't have to be long, it can be 2 to 5 minutes. Really just to organize them and get them ready to head out and to say goodbye and to ask them questions, assess them if you need to, and then make sure that they get their water. And we do 1, 2, 3 Seahawks at the end. So for your lesson planning guide, that's what we're looking at right here. That's going to give you all this information. It's also going to give you information on teaching a lot of other things like strength training. And we'll go over all this in class and conditioning. This is a good resource at the bottom. It says Adapted PE resources. Okay, so this is a site here that has some good information on adapted PE from our state. And then all these highlighted items are great for if you're teaching strength. So if you're going to be teaching the strength training portion of class, I would go to this bottom portion of the physical education guide where it's highlighted in yellow. And these things that are highlighted in yellow are probably more appropriate for our students. Okay, so like exercise like the dead bug, quadruped reach, sunbird, bear holds, bear reaches, iso rotation holds, a two-legged squat, goblet squat, isometric lunge, sumo deadlift, body weight, split squat, body weight or supported, single arm or double arm row, maybe with some bands, single arm rotational row with a band, pressing, a wall push-up or a knee push-up or a push-up. I typically like the hand elevated over this one, but you could also do the knee push-up. I like just a push-up hold. I should also put that in there as well. That is also a great exercise because then you have to worry about the form, and you get the same benefits as basically the contraction is definitely going to still be good. You have some other exercises like single leg reaches where that would be a hip dominant exercise. Single leg deadlifts, probably not be a good idea for this population, but you could perform one if you had a student that had good form. Single leg bridge, that would be okay one on the back, single leg or double leg bridge. You could do those march bridges on the back, hands and knees, hip extension, quadruped hip extension, contralateral reaches, straight leg sit-ups, get-ups, any type of plank, forearm plank should probably be in there. Let's see if I have forearm plank in here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So these front plank definitely could be in there. So we'll put that one in there. Suitcase carry, that would be good, but you'd have to be really careful with students and them not dropping the weight on the ground. I wouldn't mind a side plank as well, so I'm also going to put that in there. Farmer's walk would be another good one that you could add. And if there was anything else in here that you wanted to add, or if you want to ask me about, we can always talk about any of these exercises. These are some exercises or stretches that you could do during your cool down. You could also add these into your your warm up. So some other cool down mobility stretching ideas, and then any type of questions you might ask them after the class. So these would be some closing questions if you're going to be ending the class, these are some questions you could ask them looking at the 3 different domains of learning. All right, so that's your physical education guide. All right, in the next video, I'm going to go over how to actually go through the lesson plan guide and go through the lesson plan template and the lesson plan rubric. I'm going to go over an actual video of me going step by step through the lesson plan template, so stay tuned.